All right, we're live. So, welcome to another 20 Questions with Suzy Vitello, author at Running Wild. And I am super excited to bring her here with you. So, before we go into it, because you know we've got 20, I want to ask Suzy to just go ahead and introduce yourself and share anything that you may want.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. I'm Suzy Vitello, and this book that's coming out, The Bequest, if you can see it, a little handy dandy bookmark, will be my 6th novel and my first with Running Wild. And I'm excited to join you today to talk about myself or any questions that you have for me.
Awesome. All right. Well, this will be a good one then. Woohoo. Okay.
On we go.
So, what is the first book that you remember reading?
The first book I remember reading, probably Black Beauty. I was a horsey girl, really into horses as a child, and Black Beauty had all the emotions and all the characters, and I was big into the anthropomorphizing. Yeah, I'd say that.
Cool. And who is your favorite author in this respective genre?
Well, I'd have to say one of my favorite authors, and this is like my favorite book that he wrote, is Jeff Walter. I love him, and he's so smart. And this book, if you've never read it, is hilarious. So, what I like about him is his subjects is basically he writes about families in peril, families that are dysfunction. Like that's totally my jam. So I'd say that's it. That's my fave.
Very cool. Okay. And who do you feel influenced your writing the most and why?
Years ago, when I first moved here, I stumbled upon a class with Tom Sponbauer, who is sort of a legend in these parts in Portland, Oregon. And after that, I was in class with him with such luminaries as Monica Drake and Chuck Palahniuk, and later we did a spinoff with Chelsea Kane and Cheryl Strayed, and all that. So I would say, but Tom is sort of the linchpin. And so definitely him.
Very cool. Okay. Now, what book do you feel made the biggest impact on you?
Probably Antonia Nelson's short stories. She just has a way with language, and she's able to sort of get into the finer points of humanity and family dynamics. And I'd say, for a while, I just tried to imitate her and write short stories like she did. But yeah, so yeah, I'd say that her approach to writing and her love of language maybe was something that made a big impact on me.
I love Antonia Nelson. Yeah, absolutely. If you could read only one book for the rest of your life.
Yes. What would it be?
Yes.
I'm one of those people that I hardly ever reread a book. Sometimes I'll read it for craft, because I'm also an editor, and I'll be like, nah, this author needs to like learn how to, set up a scene like thus and so. But I have read The Great Gatsby like a million times. For a while, I would read it on the solstice every year. I don't even know why I started that, but it's it's a small book. And so anyway, I've reread that book a lot, and I guess partly I my question always is, what really is the fuss about this book? But then I realized, for its time, it was kind of a breakout approach to writing. There was like more sort of closing the gap between the character and the reader. So yeah, so I like, I like to read it for the trickery, for what he does and how he gets you involved with the characters.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Um, and I would ask, is there anything that you reread all the time? But it's okay. I won't go there.
Yeah, that would be it, but yeah, not, it's just, well, I mean, I read a book a week for at least a book a week for work, right? So,
Mhm.
so yeah, there's not like a ton of free time to go on reading things that I've already read.
Well, okay, yeah, that's fair. What book would you save in a book burning?
Yeah, what book would I save in a book burning? Gosh, probably Grace Paley's books. She was such a great rabble rouser, and she was so brave, and
Mm.
she was such a feminist, and her or maybe Marge Piercy. Yeah, they both deserve to be saved from the fire, I think,
Okay,
especially
cool.
now. We need,
Oh, well, yeah, that's a whole nother.
yeah, yeah,
Woo.
exactly.
What inspired you to write this book?
What inspired me to write the Bequest? I've been kind of fascinated with the way people have children
Mm.
lately, and but the approach to this, because it does kind of tackle that idea of in vitro fertilization and all that kind of stuff. But I was really mostly interested in pairing two generations points of view. Some, a young man and somebody closer to my age, a woman closer to my age. See what happens when two strangers that happen to have genetics in common are forced together.
Mm.
And then I kind of threw them into the sort of ticking clock scenario. So,
Got it.
yeah, just kind of I would say probably the main thing that interests me about um, this book was sort of throwing together two very dissimilar characters
Mm.
and seeing what happens.
Cool. I grew up with someone who his mother was an author, and that was her favorite thing to do,
Hmm.
was to just to completely disparate characters and toss them in the same room. Now she was a romance writer, so that resulted in a multitude of things.
I'm sure, I mean, the old meet cute, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of a trope, but yeah, but like I didn't even know at the beginning of writing this whether these two characters would ever not be adversaries.
Mm.
But I always like try to like push people together in the best ways. I like happy endings. So let's just say I always had that kind of in the back of my mind, like, how can I get these people together? What has to
I love
happen?
it. See? Now, who did you allow to read the book while you were actually writing it?
Yeah, I wrote it during COVID, right? So there wasn't
Mhm.
any really like in-person writing groups happening and all that. So it was my husband, and he's always up for it. He's not, I would say, sorry, Kirk, but he's not a thorough reader, but he definitely gets like the landscape of things, and he's a
Mm.
quick reader. So if I
Mhm.
wanted like, some eyes on a chapter or something, I'd be like, hi, honey, I'll make dinner. Can you read this chapter and tell me if it makes sense?
Oh, I love it. I love
So,
it. Now, if you were at a dinner party with four seats, what four people would you invite to your table?
so I don't get a seat.
Well, you pick whoever you want. You don't have to be the ones doing the seating, but they're at your
But I get
table.
my own seat. Like I just four additional people. Got it.
Yes.
Gloria Steinem, Jess Walter, because I already said he's my, fave. Grace Paley, she's dead, but we bring her back to life.
Of
And
course.
then seem like a comedian, like a, I don't know, Chelsea Handler type comedian, just to mix things up and get somebody to say outrageous things.
I love it. Cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, totally. And what is your drug of choice?
Uh Gummies at night, coffee in the morning.
Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
mostly any
Now,
older writer, I think, gotta get to sleep.
is it like those fresh gummies that, like you can tell they were made recently?
Yeah, here in Portland, right? I mean, aren't we the like marijuana capital of the world? Like things don't sit on shelves. And I have my
Ah,
favorite dispo that has like the, Wednesday 40% off.
mm,
So I always go then because I know that things are flying off the shelf then. So yeah, yeah, I like the one that has the stuff that make, more CBD, and it helps with sleep, and you have
mhm.
wild dreams though.
Love it.
Mhm.
And what book is your guilty pleasure?
I don't think that there's such thing as a guilty pleasure with reading. I think all reading is worthwhile. I think there is definitely guilty pleasure watching
Okay.
streaming, but I have to take a pass on that because I never feel guilty reading.
Ah, awesome. What movie or TV show
Oh,
is your
here we
guilty
go.
pleasure?
Yes. Oh, those sappy Virgin River, Sullivan's Crossing. They're kind of the same. I
Oh,
think those two
okay.
shows. But I'll watch. Like if the gummy's not working, I'll watch a few episodes of that, and then I'll fall asleep. And I'll wake up to the Netflix thing saying, "Do you want to watch the next one?" Because I've already been asleep for 5 of them. So yeah.
I love it. Do you read with music or with quiet or some other sound?
Um, quiet. I raised
Mm,
3 kids. I'm grandma to 7. I like my quiet.
wow. Your
So,
grandma to 7?
uh,
You do not look grandma to 7. I'm just putting
well,
that
I
out
appreciate
there.
that, but I think our family just gets started early. Yeah. No,
Wow.
I like quiet. I
I'm sure.
my favorite thing is to just be in my house by myself. Like, after all these years of toil and everything, but yeah, just nobody bother me.
I love it. I love it. If you could ask for one thing to change the world, what would it be? Period.
What would it be? Definitely would have to do with education,
Mhm.
quality education. I mean, people need to, think for themselves. And yeah, so would be that.
Uh, cool. Do you prefer paper, ebook, or audiobook?
You know, I like my paper books. Absolutely love my paper books.
Mm,
And I definitely listen to books because I can multitask. I can get in my steps and such, with
mhm,
the audio. And when you have a good narrator, it's really a treat too.
mm,
Um, and I don't do too much with the ebooks. I think it's just because I'm on a screen so much for my job that
mhm.
it's like, oh no, I need to readjust my eyes. And something about like paper books don't attack my eyes the same way I think that screen does. So
Mm.
yeah, so two
I
out of the
can see that. Yeah, I can see that.
three.
If who would you cast as your main characters and why?
Right. My main characters. Okay, so my main character, the first person that you're going to meet is Nadine. And I think, I kind of see a Reese Witherspoon, in Nadine, because actually Reese Witherspoon has great comic timing, and she's about the right age
Mm,
for how I see Nadine. Uh,
mhm,
Remington could be like, a Jack Black type of guy,
mm.
just sort of a ironic, bigger kind of a, stumbling kind of guy, uh, I suppose. So
Oh, I love it. Okay. I just love that you made them your primary characters at least 50. Like that's just fabulous. So,
yeah, well, I think I think we have to, us older ladies, we need to be in the game and so forth. And,
Well,
like, think about it. I think most of the people that buy books are women over 50, I guess. I don't know. You would probably know that more, the demographic. But as far as actual like paper books,
mhm,
why
mhm.
not have someone you can relate to in that way?
I remember when um we were kids and it was like faux pas to buy a paperback book. And now it seems as though like that is the preferred.
Hmm.
And ebook too is I'd say, well, not even ebook. I'd say paperback and audio seems to be the most preferred. And similar to what you described, most people seem to, who are readers, um, they don't attack a book from one format. They'll get like a paperback and a hardback or an audiobook and an ebook, and as if they want to continuously rediscover whatever the story is. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Huh. Yeah, well, that's good
Now
to know.
the
Um,
hard
you know,
the hard
hardback
part.
hard to find. I mean, there's
Oh yeah,
most publishers, except for the big ones, don't even do them, right? We do trade paperback.
yeah. I we do like Running Wild does do hardback, but it's only when it's warranted, and I don't mean that in the incredibly morose way that it just came out.
Yeah, like there's like some art reason to do it, like some visual reason to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
that's my dog up there.
it comes down to, do you have is there already a pre-existing fan base for it?
Ah,
So
understood. Yeah.
oftentimes authors will come because they grew up with hardback and they want hardbacks to be created, and but they have no fan base. There's nobody who actually wants to buy the book. So
Mm.
we're huffing it to sell it, and as is the author, and you just end up having to see how it goes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I can see it's definitely, way more expensive to produce hardbacks than if they're just going to get destroyed. What's the point? But
right,
I think
yeah.
things, people, I mostly purchase trade paperbacks too. When it comes
Mm,
to actually physical books, and we have Powell's here, which is just like the reseller of the century, right? I mean, you want to use version of whatever. So in that case, I'll just buy whatever's there.
yeah.
$5 copy of Moby Dick or something. It's just like, yeah, used books.
Oh yeah, some of my
Great.
favorite retailers now are used books sellers,
Mhm.
because I mean you can really get some amazing deals, especially on hardback. Not that I'm telling people to go out and
Whoops.
but hey.
Moving right along.
Exactly. Now, if you could meet anyone, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
I'm a huge Eleanor Roosevelt fan.
Okay.
And I just imagine, like, if she were alive right now, witnessing what's happened to the country,
Mm.
um, I would ask her, how are we going to survive Trump? Got any ideas, Eleanor?
Oh my.
What should
Oh
we be
my. Oh
doing?
my.
No, wasn't she great? I mean, I come from a little town in upstate New York, Warwick, New York, and she was instrumental in opening. It was kind of a reform school,
Mhm.
actually. We called it state school there in the
Yeah.
40s for young men who, were on their way to becoming criminals, but they were from the city and all that kind of stuff. And actually, fun fact, my grandfather was a doctor for there. And when my grandfather and my grandmother and my dad, who was only a baby, were sort of forced out of Austria, they came to New York, and they actually lived on the site there. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So I did a lot of studying about Eleanor back in the day.
Cool. Now, describe yourself in 5 words.
Well, I'm curious.
Okay.
Nurturing, 7 grandchildren.
Mm.
Competitive, pickleball, daydreamy, and lover of puzzles.
Oh, fun. Very fun. Okay. Describe your life in 5 words.
Describe my life in 5 words. Accidentally perfect in many ways.
So what brings you to that conclusion? Because that's a really interesting summary.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like I've been super lucky in my life. And a lot of it just is by accident. Like I discovered Portland when I was 30 years old, and it was the perfect place to come and raise 2 out of the 3 of my kids, which were babies at the time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, and there were a bunch of things that happened before that kind of prompted that move where I knew nobody, right? But despite all of that, like it all worked out. And even just like being born at the time that I was born, in between significant wars and a time where, I'm like almost a boomer, kind of, I'm on that cusp of ex-gen boomer. And we're lucky, there just weren't the threats that came before and after. So I would say, and yeah, I guess, this life that I have here with all the children and, a good place to live and in a place that I love and nature all around me, I would say it's just perfect.
I love it. Oh. Okay. Now, if you could write yourself into a novel, what would you be? Would you be a hero or a villain, and why?
Well, I play this game. My 6-year-old grandson lives right next door, and he really loves for us to play these like games where we're dragon slayers.
Oh, fun.
The dragon wings. And he always wants to be the bad guy, and he wants me to be the good guy.
Okay.
So I'll do that role. But I think that what I'm mostly set up for is to be like the sidekick to the hero. Like not really out in front, but like right next to, like giving them like liner notes.
Okay. Cool. What was the last guilty pleasure you remember, and why do you consider it a guilty pleasure?
Yeah, sometimes on the weekend I'll just like last weekend I just woke up, had my coffee, and then I went back to bed. So I guess I consider that a guilty pleasure because there's a lot of stuff to be done. There's tomatoes out there that need picking, but it's like, you know what? I need like 2 more hours of my bed. So that's the guilty part.
I feel that. Yeah. When I start mentally going through everything that I have on my list, it's like,
it's never ending.
Right?
Yeah.
Is there anyone you dream you could work with, and why?
Like for a novel or something, or what? Like just to write?
Anything. Yeah, pick whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I get spurred on by people that are really funny. So I'd love to work with a comedian and just, like even Jim Gaffigan or John Oliver or, Chelsea Handler, like these people that are really witty and outrageous sometimes in some ways. Just to be in their midst, I feel like I would get inspired.
Okay. Cool. All right. 2 truths and 1 lie.
2 truths and 1 lie. Okay. My mother moved to Portugal in her 80s.
Oh, wow.
I once summited Mount Hood. My father tried to save John Lennon's life after he was shot. So which do you think isn't true?
Is true?
Which one isn't, right? Which one's the
isn't.
lie?
I'm going to say the John Lennon one.
Nope.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was right there doing he was working at the hospital down there, and he was one of the docs that tried to save his life. But as we all know, that didn't work.
Wow, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
So which one is the lie?
The Mount Hood. I threw that in there because I live in Portland.
Why not?
But yeah, I've summited Mount St. Helens, but not Mount Hood.
Oh, got it. Oh, cool. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to share for our viewers?
Well, I just hope that you guys will buy the Bequest. And I am really open to hearing what you have to say, whether it's a review or whether you want to email me or whatever. But I hope you think it's funny, because I had a lot of fun writing it.
Absolutely. Now, what animal would you run wild with?
Oh my gosh. So we live on the edge of a park, and every night this summer, like right around midnight, the screaming coyotes go nuts. I think they're kits, because they're so high pitched.
Wow.
And I find it soothing. But I am very respectful of their wildness. And so I would say coyotes.
Got it. Okay. And when was the last time that you ran wild? And what did you do and what made it wild?
I guess, like I said, I have the grandson next door, and he always wants to play these wild fantasy games. And sometimes I just turn into a 5-year-old, like, and just, and just like all my inhibitions go out the door, and I'm just, I'll put on masks or, just put on wild outfits and just act like a 5-year-old with him. And it's so
As
freeing.
you should.
Yeah, it's so freeing.
I love it. So what is on your playlist?
Yeah, I like the Torch songs of Brandi Carlile. I like Counting Crows songs. I like Leonard Cohen, the poetry of Leonard Cohen, that kind of stuff. I don't ever listen to music while I'm writing, but sometimes I just get in my car and I just want to hear music, and I just want to drive and hear music. Like I grew up, I learned to drive to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, an 8-track version of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And whenever I hear that song, whenever I hear Born to Run, I'm just back there. I'm 16 years old. I'm alone in my car for the first time in my life, and I'm just blasting that music. So, yeah, put him in there.
All right. Now, if you had to pick Disney, Universal, or Warner Brothers, or something else.
So for a short period of time, I lived in San Diego as a child, and I went to Disneyland in the 70s, where you had like coupon tickets. So I'm always going to say Disney. It's just
okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cover this one. Tea or coffee? We already covered that. So,
Yeah.
if you had to pick between appetizers and dessert, which would you pick?
Yeah. Okay. So I have to pick. Yeah. You know what? If I've eaten a whole meal, I want something sweet. I must have just a bite of something sweet. Appetizers, I'm pretty picky about. I like
Mhm.
seafood appetizers, like shrimp cocktail, that sort of a thing. But
Mhm.
I guess I have to say the sweet thing, the dessert.
Okay. Okay. And what is your favorite dessert?
Um, Dark chocolate, like just pure dark chocolate, or like one of those small Trader Joe's cones. Do you know what I'm talking about? Those little, like tiny, they're like this big, so you don't feel guilty eating them.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Any flavor. Mostly vanilla though, I guess.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and if you had to pick between chocolate or vanilla,
Mm.
which would you pick?
God, there's nothing like good quality chocolate. So but if it's like a Hershey bar versus vanilla ice
Mm.
cream, I'll go with the vanilla ice cream. Sorry, Hershey, but you taste like wax.
And with that, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It has been an absolute pleasure. And for those of you watching, Suzy, if you could hold up your cover, that would be
That's what
amazing.
I've got so far on my books yet. But here it is, the Bequest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And uh we're getting that out soon. And anyone who's interested, please, please, please go ahead. And actually, it says we have new comments. Oh, so Adam has a question.
Okay.
Suzy, how do you feel about adverbs and how the Timbers are doing this season? I mean,
All
obviously
right.
these are
Who
critical
asked me that?
questions.
Okay, so how do I feel about adverbs? Use them sparingly. That's always, and be very precise with them. And use unusual ones, right? Use your thesaurus.
Oh, that's smart.
The,
Yeah.
the Timbers, due to their new signings, and I think they're getting their stride. They just played the two top West teams, and they were draws, both of them, as the questioner knows. So I think I'm excited to watch them going forward. I think they're going to make it. I think they're going to do better this year in the playoffs than they did last year.
Excellent.
You heard it
And
here.
for those of you interested, I have put a link to Suzy's website in the comments section so that you are more than welcome to go ahead and check out when the bequests will be out, and you can have your reading pleasure. So with that, I want to thank you, Suzy. I was going to say, as always, a pleasure. It just means that we're going to have to keep doing this. That's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. It was great talking to you. And I hope to see some of you at some of these events I'm going to be doing. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.